the former two-term governor of Massachusetts and is running for the Republican nomination for president in 2020, Governor William Weld. Okay. Hey. How are you, Governor?
Long time no see.
Yes, it's been a long time. Were you on Politically Incorrect?
I was on Politically Incorrect.
Wow, now you're
high point of my life.
And were you governor at the time?
I was.
Wow, we had a governor on that show? Interesting. Well, that was a different era. I mean, you're a New England Republican. You're what I call Republican classic.
Yeah.
And you're sort of an endangered species. So
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you are.
Well,
in the Republican Party, there's not.
Oh, if you mean decency and integrity, yeah, that's New England Republican. Sure, I'll plead to that.
Yeah, but I mean, how many Republican senators are there left?
Well, they're not endangered because they're all gone.
Right. Yeah, but it's interesting because in 2016 you ran as an independent after being a lifelong Republican, and you were on the ballot with Gary Johnson,
right,
Libertarian. Won almost 5 million votes. I don't know if people remember that.
It was triple the previous best showing of the party.
Right.
Gary and I have been two-term Republican governors and good friends as fellow Republican governors, and we got along very well.
But you don't get the same blame Ralph Nader does. Ralph Nader gets blamed for throwing the election to Bush in 2000, but you got 5 million votes. I imagine some of those would have went to Hillary.
No, our polling showed 3 out of 4 of our votes came from Trump, because a libertarian vote is going to be either a protest vote or a change vote. Those were not going to go for Mrs. Clinton.
Okay.
So we definitely
but this
side.
time you're running as a Republican again, against Trump, who's in the White House.
That's
See,
right.
Timing is everything. And it seems like this would be the time to run as a third-party candidate.
No, I wanted the...
Third party this time, because you're not going to win the nomination from Trump.
Well, let's see.
Well, come on.
I wanted the direct shot.
Let's land on earth here. You're not going to... Trump has the highest approval rating among Republicans.
He has hugely high approval ratings among Republican state committees, who are all the Trump organization in their various states.
Voters.
Well,
no?
they are voters, but my job is to enlarge the electorate, bring in those millennials, the Gen Xers, talk about issues like the deficit and climate change and the future of work, and the abortion issue is a complete outrage.
Do you think the main issue...
You know what it is? It's really gender equality. It's treating women as chattels and carriers. And it's disgraceful, and he's all for it.
Okay, don't yell at me, sweetheart. I'm with you. You're making my point in a kind of way, because it all comes down to, every issue comes down to, we got to get rid of Trump. So if the most important thing is to get rid of Trump, wouldn't running as a third-party candidate, because that way you do siphon votes off?
No, the history is somebody who, I remember Pat Buchanan. I was with George H.W. Bush riding around in the car. Pat got only 37% in the New Hampshire primary, and it was the beginning of the end for George H.W., who a month earlier had been at 91% of the polls. Dick Nixon won 49 states shortly before being removed from office. So a year is a long time in national politics, and I think the cracks are beginning to show in the government by tantrum style of the president in Washington.
So why were you riding around in the car?
I was with George H.W. Bush, trying to help him not be spooked by Pat Buchanan. I failed in that.
Oh, okay. All right. I just thought maybe you were in the car. So let's say in a crazy world you don't get the nomination, and it's Trump again. How can, you have a lot of political experience, how can the Democrats avoid losing? Because they're so good at that. What is your biggest advice just to win? Because even the rank and file who always care about issues...
My advice is to tell the truth. It's always the easiest thing to do. That way you don't have to remember what you said. And the truth is that Mr. Trump lives inside his own head. He lives in a world all his own. He has a lot of trouble conforming his conduct to the requirements, not just of law.
We know that. We all agree on that.
But of any social
strategy?
norms.
What's the strategy? You all take all your years of political experience. What's the best path to win? Is it Mayor Pete? Is it Joe Biden? Is it make sure the woman is at top of the ticket?
I don't know about the candidates, but I will say the Mueller report that just came out, 1/3 1,000 former federal prosecutors have just signed a letter saying that this man committed obstruction of justice on multiple occasions, according to the Mueller report. And that's 1,000, and most of them are career prosecutors. There's only like 40 who are like me, who are confirmed by the Senate, so-called political appointees. But 1,000 career prosecutors have said that. So you know that he committed obstruction of justice. I would have charged him if I'd been in Mueller's.
I have said the same thing. So
let me tell you why. So the Constitution says, Article 1, Section 3, that a president remains liable to indictment, prosecution, and punishment after leaving office. Now, if the president could get reelected, the statute of limitations would have run on his crimes of obstruction in 17 and 18. So it has to be the law that you could file a sealed indictment, and so as not to disturb the president in the conduct of his duties, and then have that become public after he left office.
So this, when you take your case now to the Republican voter,
right,
the 90% who are in the Trump camp, that's your big thing, is Trump's really an asshole. You've missed it these last 4 years.
I'm not going to argue with the Republicans.
Because they love him. They love him like a cult.
Republican state committees, as I say, they are.
No, but you're going to have to
Trump
take your case to the voters. 90% of them love him. I mean, love,
no,
love.
Not the electorate that I hope to face. I want those millennials. I want the suburban women voters. I want the people in whom it has finally sunk in that the president is
so you're
not
going to
doing
go
his
around
job.
the base.
Oh, yeah.
I see.
Oh, absolutely.
And who's left in the Republican Party there? That's not a big part.
Anyone, well, in 20 states, they allow crossover voting. And
so you're going to get Democrats.
Oh, well, I'm not
they don't like any of the 23 they have.
No, I'm having a big fundraiser in Washington in a couple of weeks with a donkey on one side and a Republican on the other side, a elephant on the other side of the invitation. So, no, absolutely.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. I've asked people this for over 2 years. If Trump loses, you think he'll leave?
Not voluntarily. It's very obvious.
There you go. Exactly. I've been right.
No. I mean, he's so...
Well, what is not voluntarily? Then what is it? The Marines?
He'll have a run at saying it was a rigged game, so I'm not leaving. I don't think the military and indeed even the Justice Department, rank and file, the investigative agencies, would stand for that in this country. We have enough to steer by our wake there.
But we've said that about everything so far. Yeah. As he becomes more and more addicted, every step of the way we go, that would never happen. They'd never stand for that. It's
very obvious that he wants to be what the people that wrote the Constitution were hell-bent and determined to avoid, which is a king. And he loves autocrats, and he consorts with them, and he says a free press is the enemy of the people. It's in the First Amendment. He says that we just can't have these restrictions on me. I'm not going to play. If anyone's investigating me, I'm not going to even engage with Congress. What could be a more obvious violation of his oath of office?
All right. I hope when you're president, you'll come back and see us. You won't forget us because you're too big for it. All right.